Got a 1951 Yankees team signed baseball. Year they won the World Series.
It's a Gibson L7, hollow body, and the guy who played it played for Al Capone's birthday.
If I told you I played for Obama last week, would you believe me?
The episode starts with military history walking straight through the pawn shop doors. A full West Point cadet uniform from 1909. The seller proudly reveals it once belonged to General Griswold, the only Nevada-born general of World War II. Rick's eyes practically bug out of his head. Military memorabilia is his sweet spot, but this isn't just any jacket. It's tied to a general. That means dollar signs and bragging rights.
I knew it was old, but I had no idea what it was until I looked inside the pocket. I saw General Griswold's name in it.
This West Point jacket is in great condition. I knew I had to have it.
The seller explains he snagged the jacket at a military auction years back and now wants $3,500. Rick admires the wool and original hardware, noting its excellent condition. But he's cautious. Just because it looks good doesn't mean it's real. He calls in his buddy Mark from the Clark County Museum because when you're about to shell out thousands, you don't just trust the tag.
I've collected for a long time, and now I'm selling this item because I need the money, and the lowest I'll take for it is $3,000.
So how did you come about this?
I purchased this from a military auction about 15 to 18 years ago.
Cool.
Cut to the expert review. Mark inspects the stitching, buttonholes, and fabric, even spotting a repair that matches the era. Everything checks out. Mark confirms it's authentic and gushes about its rarity, saying he'd happily take it for the museum. Rick grins. This isn't just a jacket, it's history. The seller beams, thinking payday is close.
Do you mind if I open these up and take a look? No.
Go ahead.
What's interesting is not just that it's a West Point jacket, but it was a man who made quite a career in the military. He became a lieutenant general, which is quite high in the military, and he was a Nevada native.
Back at the shop, the moment of truth arrives. The seller reiterates he wants $3,500. Rick lowballs hard at $1,500, explaining he needs room for profit. After some tense back and forth, they settle on $1,500 cash plus $500 in store credit. Both sides walk away satisfied. Rick gets a prized uniform, and the seller gets money and a shopping spree.
About 15 cash and 12 in trade.
Dad, I go 1,500 cash. Yeah, I mean, the prices have dropped that much on everything.
Well, give me some trade. Give me something. I want to buy something from your store. Give me 15 cash and 5 trade.
Okay, deal.
Sounds good.
Next, a seller brings in a 1951 New York Yankees baseball covered in 22 to 23 signatures, including legends Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, and Yogi Berra. This isn't just a baseball, it's a piece of Yankee Stadium frozen in time. The seller wants $3,000, but the condition is rough. Rick jokes it looks like it got run over by a truck.
1951 Yankees team signed baseball. Got about 22, 23 signatures on the ball. Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra.
The old man wisely refuses to commit without authentication. They call in Brenda, a handwriting expert. She studies each signature, noting Mickey Mantle's early autograph matches the 1951 time frame, and Joe DiMaggio's bold pen strokes are spot on. The verdict, genuine. The seller looks thrilled, but the old man keeps that poker face.
I have obtained genuine signatures of all the players on the team that year.
Okay.
So what I will do is use those as examples and compare them to the signatures on the ball.
Negotiations get icy. The seller holds firm at $3,000, but the old man points out the fading signatures and condition issues. He offers $800, less than a third of the ask. The seller declines, unwilling to budge. No deal is made, but at least the ball's authenticity is locked down. Sometimes history just costs more than Rick and the crew are willing to risk.
It just comes down to what a buyer is willing to pay for it and what the seller is willing to get for it.
So what are you trying to get out of it, Quinn?
I think $3,000 is a reasonable amount for the ball.
Shifting gears, nostalgia rolls in on two wheels. A 1966 Schwinn Stingray bike. The seller needs rent money and hopes for $400. Rick lights up. He had one as a kid and reminisces about the outlawed stick shift gear that caused more accidents than a demolition derby. The seller's got memories. Rick's got dollar signs.
I'm over here at the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, seeing if I could pawn this 1966 Schwinn Stingray. Yeah, I need a little bit of money for rent. I'm hoping to pawn this for about $300 or $400.
Rick offers $300 on a pawn loan, explaining the seller can reclaim it if he pays back within 120 days. The seller accepts, knowing he'll at least make rent. Rick gets a piece of childhood nostalgia, and the shop keeps rolling.
These shifters were actually outlawed in late 73, 74 for, because I believe kids would wreck and whack their you-know-whats right here. And,
From sports to knighthood, another seller presents a pewter Knights of the Round Table set. 25 pieces, King Arthur and 24 knights. He wants $2,500, bragging it's in pristine condition. Rick, unimpressed, explains pewter's basically tin with copper, worth more as scrap than as a medieval centerpiece.
It's hardly ever been handled. I'm selling today because I no longer can appreciate it, and I think I should be able to sell it to somebody who would appreciate it. And I'm hoping today to sell it for $2,500.
Rick delivers the bad news. The seller's brother-in-law overpaid in England, likely suckered by a salesman with a posh accent. At best, the set's worth its weight in tin. Rick suggests handing it down to the grandkids instead. The seller leaves empty-handed but slightly more educated.
It's not worth that much. It's basically worth its weight in 10.
Do you think my brother-in-law overpaid for this?
I mean, he might have went to a tourist shop there in London. There's lots of them around there, especially if you're around Westminster Abbey or someplace like that.
Amidst all this, family drama brews in the shop. Rick hires his niece Kirsten for the summer, and Corey is instantly salty. Rick ups the stakes. If Corey trains her properly, he'll finally get a raise. Corey mutters, that's basically code for no raise ever. The blind leading the blind in pawn shop politics.
I can't believe I'm giving this girl a job. She doesn't know the first thing about this business. Do you even know what pawn means?
No. Today is going to be my first day at the pawn shop. I'm pretty excited about working with my Uncle Rick. My cousin Corey, on the other hand, I'm not so sure about.
Corey grudgingly teaches Kirsten the basics, like how to tell a real Rolex from a fake. She struggles, but eventually guesses right to Corey's disbelief. Rick gleefully announces Corey's raise, proving miracles do happen. The old man chuckles, Corey sulks, and Kirsten gets the last laugh.
You get a little raise.
It's the big moment. She's going to take my dad's little quiz, and all I could think of, wow, a 17-year-old girl's in charge of my financial future here.
From a general's uniform to a Yankees treasure, a kid's bike, and a medieval table set, this episode has it all, plus the usual family chaos. Rick scored history, the old man held firm, Corey got roasted, and nostalgia never stopped rolling. Classic Pawn Stars mayhem at its finest.
Right now, I'm going through the watches, and they pretty much all look the same to me. This one's real.
The episode kicks off with serious mob vibes. A 1962 Lincoln Continental rolls up, complete with suicide doors, the kind gangsters loved for making business meetings disappear. The seller brags about its restored engine but admits the interior is a wreck. Rick and the old man love the bodywork, but know the upholstery alone could eat them alive in costs. The seller asks $13,000 to $14,000. Rick offers $9,000 flat, and after tense back and forth, they settle on $9,500.
On this episode of Pawn Stars.
This is my 1962 Lincoln Continental.
It's a badass car, man. It has suicide doors. It was really easy to open the door and just push your body out.
Rick's thrilled but cautious. He loves the car's gangster aesthetic but knows the interior might be a money pit. The old man mutters that Rick's ego is bigger than the Lincoln's hood, and honestly, he's not wrong. Rick insists it'll only cost a few grand to fix. The old man gives him that classic death stare, basically saying, "Sure, kid, keep dreaming."
This is my 1962 Lincoln Continental.
Where'd you get it?
I got it from New Jersey.
Yeah. That's scary.
That's scary.
Next up, a seller hauls in a wallet stuffed with Confederate currency from 1857. He's dreaming of a $1,000 payday, but Rick quickly points out the rice paper bills are crumbling like potato chips. The old man confirms they're real but in terrible condition. Rick offers $150, gets pushed to $200, and they finally land at $300. The seller doubles his money. Rick gets brittle history paper, and the old man just shakes his head.
So what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? I was cleaning out some boxes, storage, and out of the garage, and I found this, and I think it has some considerable value to it because it appears to be a billfold with Confederate money in it.
The seller walks away grinning, claiming he doubled his money. Technically true, but watching Rick argue over Confederate coupons was comedy gold. The old man even cracks that the currency market fell apart like a $2 watch. Savage. Rick, meanwhile, insists he'll make profit flipping them, eventually.
It was just the dawn of the industrial age.
You could see the edges were misaligned, and they were straight cuts. Cut too much to one side, cut not enough on the other.
But the Lincoln drama isn't over. Rick takes it to his buddy Wally, the restoration guru, hoping the interior can be salvaged. Wally rips the car apart and reveals the ugly truth. The leather is dust, the foam is shot, and the wood trim is splitting. Translation? Everything's toast. Rick panics, knowing the old man is gonna roast him alive when he hears the bill.
1962 Lincoln Continental with my buddy Wally. I'm hoping there's something in the interior he can salvage. Otherwise, he's gonna have to start from scratch and it's gonna be more money. I know the old man's a little bit concerned, but hey, I think everything's gonna work out all right.
The old man, of course, knew it. He calls Rick out for lying about it just needing a carpet shampoo. Wally calmly breaks it down. Full interior rebuild. Rick admits it's a little more than shampoo, and the old man nearly combusts. When Wally reveals the final bill, $15,000, the old man's glare could melt steel. Rick sweats bullets but clings to the hope of a big resale.
The interior?
There isn't really much I can do with what we have here.
Oh. Holy what did I get myself into? The old man is gonna kill me.
Meanwhile, a seller brings in a 1942 Gibson L7 hollow body guitar with a wild backstory. It was supposedly played at Al Capone's birthday. Rick immediately shuts that down. Provenance by mob party doesn't add value. What matters is condition, and this guitar needs love. Bent neck, worn frets, separation in the body. Still, it's a collectible. The seller wants $3,500. Rick offers $1,000, and the deal is done.
I wonder if you could take a look at this for me. I got this guitar from my father. He got it from an old man, and apparently he played for Al Capone.
Rick sends the Gibson out for restoration. The guitar doctor replaces the frets, buffs out scratches, and polishes it up beautifully for $450. Rick beams, claiming it could now sell for $3,500. It's a rare win where Rick's gamble pays off. The guitar went from mob gig survivor to showroom ready.
That hole inside's gonna have to be done to make it right. Hey, Rick is trying to cover his ass, and he's lying to me.
In a lighter moment, a seller brings in a 1982 Atari system with 70+ games. He hopes for $100. Corey tests it out, hilariously trash-talking while button mashing, and after some laughs, the system proves it still works. Deal done at $100. The seller walks out happy, and Chumley now has 70 games to test, aka play for hours.
I want to sell my Atari system to you.
Okay. Oh man, this thing's got to be older than you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the Lincoln's big reveal. Rick braces himself as Wally rolls out the finished product. The interior's been rebuilt from top to bottom. Fresh leather, restored dash, wrapped steering wheel, the works. The car looks factory new. Rick is stunned, the old man is grudgingly impressed, and everyone admits it's gorgeous.
The moment I saw that car, I couldn't believe it. It looked like it just rolled out of the factory. It was beautiful.
Looks like you did quite a bit of work, Wally.
Then comes the price tag, $15,000 in restoration costs. Rick nearly faints, but Wally assures him it could resell for $30,000 to $35,000. The old man scolds Rick for lying and gambling shop money, but deep down, he knows it's a solid investment. Rick lucked out big time. This Lincoln went from disaster to art piece.
The seat covers and everything, I think, don't you think?
Oh yeah. Wally's just rattling everything off, and I see the bill climbing and climbing and climbing.
Everything's been replaced and rebuilt.
The old man admires the finished car, calling it a piece of art and reminiscing about when cars had character. Rick, ever the businessman, insists it's going up for sale. The old man fights back, declaring he's keeping it to drive. Their argument is peak Pawn Stars. 2 generations, 1 gangster car, 0 agreement.
Save your ass on this one.
Hope we saved your ass, Rick. All right.
Honestly, I got pretty lucky on this one. If there was any other problems with this car, I'd have lost money on it.
By the end, Rick's juggling Confederate bills, a gangster Lincoln, a restored Gibson, and an Atari haul. The old man's sarcasm, Corey's button mashing, and Rick's risky bets make this episode a roller coaster of wins and near disasters. From mob rides to mob guitars, this one's a true Pawn Stars classic.
Yeah, we're gonna sell it.
No, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive it.
You can drive it back to the shop, put a for sale sign on it.
No. I need another car, Rick.
The episode launches with medieval flair as a seller brings in what he claims is a 16th century jousting helmet. He says he picked it up in Germany and wants $5,000, hoping it'll cover some quick cash needs. Rick can't resist trying it on and immediately complains it feels like starring in The Man in the Iron Mask. Cool factor aside, Rick notices a suspicious bolt that looks too modern. Suspicion is already in the air.
On this episode of Pawn Stars.
If it actually was a Renaissance helmet, how much do you think it would be worth?
Between 20 and 30,000.
Yes. I'm thinking, please, be real, be real.
Rick explains to the seller that machine-cut bolts didn't appear until the 1830s, making the helmet's hardware questionable. The seller argues it's just part of an old guard attachment, but Rick isn't convinced. He calls in an arms and armor expert to check it out, because if this helmet isn't real, it's worth about as much as a Halloween costume.
What I love about working here is working with my family. What I hate about working here is working with my family. No, it's not over with because he's got a smirk on his face.
While waiting for the expert, Corey handles a new customer, a guy trying to pawn his flashy Big Dog motorcycle. The seller claims it retailed for $28,000 and wants $20,000 for payroll. Corey counters with $8,000, sparking a heated debate about custom paint, 6-speed transmission, and massive tires. They finally meet at $15,000, with the seller promising he'll buy it back before 120 days are up.
So I gotta ask, man, why would you pawn a bike like this?
I gotta make payroll. I got employees that count on me, you know?
Pawning is basically the simplest form of credit.
Next, an elderly collector strolls in with an 1884 Springfield trapdoor rifle, complete with documentation from the National Archives. Rick lights up, impressed it hasn't been refinished and still has its original nicks and dings. The seller wants around $1,600. Rick starts low at $1,000, and after some back and forth, they settle on $1,500 cash.
Just a single shot, that's the only thing bad about it.
That was the bad thing about it. It was argued that they shouldn't have issued these to every soldier. I mean, there was repeating rifles at the time. It was real hard to reload when a guy had a Winchester pumping out bullet after bullet after you.
But Rick isn't satisfied until he knows it works. The team heads to the range, and the gun expert explains the dangers, catastrophic malfunctions included. Corey chickens out, so Big Hoss steps up to fire first. The gun blasts successfully, smoke flying everywhere, and Rick sighs in relief knowing it's sellable as a working antique.
The reason I need to know if this antique firearm works or not is because I need to determine how I'm going to sell it. Am I going to sell it for parts, or am I going to sell it as a whole rifle?
Chumley even tries his hand at shooting the rifle, bragging he can outshoot Big Hoss. Naturally, his bullet vanishes into thin air, proving once again that Chumley and firearms are a terrifying combo. At least no one lost fingers in the process.
You're live, Hoss. I think you make it through that one.
Look at that, not too bad. You got him.
Lucky shot, though.
Back at the shop, a seller hauls in a Pac-Man arcade cabinet from 1981. He admits he can't get it working, but Chumley begs Rick to buy it. Rick sighs, knowing full well this could become another expensive Chumley pet project. After some negotiation, they grab it for $175, with Chumley tasked to fix it.
What year did you say this was?
This is 1981.
81?
Yeah.
So where'd you get it, man?
I got it off the internet.
The internet?
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a cool piece of American history.
A few days later, the restored Pac-Man is revealed. It looks brand new after $350 in repairs, and the technician explains someone had once tried and failed to convert it into a Ms. Pac-Man board. Now it works perfectly, valued at over $1,000. Rick's thrilled, but Chumley just wants to brag about beating everyone in the shop at the game.
Wow. Oh, wow, man, it looks awesome. The top looked horrible when I brought it in, man. Is this brand new, or were you able to fix the old one, or?
Brand spanking new, but that's just the cosmetic artwork to it.
Finally, the armor expert arrives to examine the jousting helmet. He drops the truth bomb. Yes, it's armor, but it's a Victorian-era copy from the 1800s, not the Renaissance. The craftsmanship is too modern, the roping is shallow, and that bolt, totally machine cut. The seller looks crushed. His $5,000 dream helmet is worth closer to $4,500 at best. Rick passes on the deal.
Would you go 175 to make it worth my while to come down here?
All right, man, I'll do it for 175. You're gonna be in charge of getting this thing put back together now.
The seller leaves disappointed, while Rick shrugs it off. Better to dodge a fake than sink money into it. The shop ends the day with a working Pac-Man, a documented Springfield rifle, and Corey's risky $15,000 motorcycle loan. From nights to neon arcades, this episode proves Pawn Stars can jump centuries in a single day.
It's not easy living in your shadows.
All right, there you go.
Did you hit the ground?
I don't know where that one went.
Imagine walking into a pawn shop with the first printed book of American baseball rules. That's not just history, that's basically holding baseball's baby photos before it hit puberty. A seller named Adam struts in with this 1834 treasure, and Rick's eyes light up like a kid who just found a mint Mickey Mantle rookie card in his attic. Adam wants $6,000, and Rick already looks like he's calculating how many hot dogs he could sell with it.
I'm not going to throw you a curve with this one.
Okay.
I brought you the first printed book with American baseball rules.
Adam explains this beauty was printed in Boston, complete with kids playing ball on the Common, the first official baseball diamond sketch. Rick nods, throwing in Civil War trivia like he's auditioning for Drunk History. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, forget grenades. These soldiers apparently just needed peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I mean, imagine yelling, "Charge!" while someone yells back, "Batter up!"
A fascinating book. It's really like the birth certificate for America's national pastime. I want $6,000 for the book. From my research, maybe only a dozen copies exist of it.
Then in walks the sports expert, and the guy is giddy. Like, I just touched Babe Ruth's ghost giddy. He confirms this is the first printed American baseball rule book, a collector's dream. Adam beams like he's already practicing his rich laugh, while Rick's calculating margins harder than a CPA during tax season. Expert says it's worth $7,500 to $8,500. Translation, Adam's hearing cha-ching, while Rick's hearing ouch.
Guy came into my shop and he's got a book that he says is the very first book with the rules of baseball.
Rick winds up and pitches lowball, $3,500. Adam looks at him like he just asked if T-ball counts as professional baseball. Back and forth they go, tossing numbers like fastballs. Finally, they land at $4,000. Rick owns a piece of history, Adam gets his payday, and somewhere Abner Doubleday is rolling in his grave saying, "You're welcome, fellas."
In your environment, in a retail environment, I think it's completely justified to say $7,500 to $8,500.
Then comes the Civil War drum saga. A seller wheels in this relic claiming it saw action. Rick inspects it like Sherlock Holmes with a hangover and quickly spots repairs newer than Chumley's sneakers. Seller asks $12,000, and Rick's eyebrows shoot higher than the national debt. That's when you know it's time to call in the drum whisperer.
The way it was, when you were out on the battlefield, they would have a different drum beat for different commands.
The expert checks it out and hits the seller with the brutal truth. Nope, not Civil War, more like Civil Parade. This baby's from the 1870s or 1880s. Ouch. The seller's face drops faster than a drumstick at a marching band audition. At least it's still the 19th century, but definitely not Gettysburg material. Talk about marching to the beat of disappointment.
I think this is a later piece. My guess is 1870s, 1880s.
Now cue the negotiation comedy hour. Rick tosses $500 on the table like he's offering lunch money. The seller tries to rally, $1,000, but Rick plays hardball. Finally, they land at $950. Seller looks like he just traded Gettysburg for a garage sale, but hey, at least the kids and dogs at home won't be traumatized by a war drum in the living room.
When you sell something, you sell a story. The story previously was you had a young boy in battle during the Civil War.
Next up, the coffin corkscrew. Yep, you heard that right. A seller brings in the 1932 Bridgewater corkscrew, nicknamed the King Daddy of openers, complete with coffin-shaped box. It was made to bury the hated Volstead Act, the guy behind Prohibition. Chumley sees it and his face lights up like someone just told him shots are 2 for 1.
I have a Bridgewater's corkscrew produced in 1932. It comes in a coffin. This is more or less the King Daddy of all.
Chumley explains how Prohibition basically invented organized crime. The corkscrew box literally puts Volstead in a coffin, and honestly, that's the pettiest merch I've ever seen. The seller wants $1,100 and Chum counters with $150 like he's haggling at a flea market for a lava lamp. The seller's face screams, "Did this guy just insult me and history?"
No one really thought it was ever going to get passed. And then the bill passes, and now alcohol is illegal in America.
They bicker like two drunk uncles at Thanksgiving. Seller wants $850. Chum says $300. Eventually, they agree at $325, and the seller leaves with a profit. Meanwhile, Chumley is probably patting himself on the back like he just prevented the return of Prohibition. Someone get this man a juice box.
Where are you at then?
And I'm looking at like $150.
Can you get up close to $850?
No, I really couldn't, man.
And then the Nash skateboard rolls in. Literally, the seller snagged it for $1.78 at a thrift shop and now wants $150. Rick and Corey inspect it, but the wheels aren't original. That's like trying to sell a Ferrari with lawnmower tires. Collectible? Sure, if you're collecting ways to fall on your face.
Good memory. 1970s Nash skateboard.
All right, where in the world did you get this?
Corey drops trivia about Nash being a water ski company before dabbling in skateboards. He admits it's nostalgic, but with replaced wheels, it's worth less than a Happy Meal toy. He offers $20, and the seller laughs it off. Honestly, I think the grandkids will get more mileage on it than Tony Hawk ever did.
I know you gotta make money. I wanna make a little money, so I would think $150 would be a fair price.
Problem is
if it's a $150 collectible, it better all be there. These wheels are not the original clay and metal wheels. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 20 bucks.
Back to the baseball book for the grand finale. Rick calls in Rebecca, the queen of book knowledge, and she confirms this isn't just rare, it's legendary. She values it between $7,500 and $8,500. Rick's poker face deserves an Oscar, while Adam looks like he's about to faint with joy. You could cut the tension with a knife.
Okay.
I like it too, just because you've got all these other games in here. The fact that it has swimming and hopscotch and stuff. This is published with that idea of like, these are our American games.
Rick winds up for the pitch one last time. $4,000 flat. Adam pauses, clearly calculating how many hot dogs, jerseys, and foam fingers he could buy. Finally, he accepts. Rick secures history for the shop, Adam pockets his payday, and honestly, that's a deal worthy of the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I'm going to throw you a curveball for your $3,500. That sucks.
I'm not swinging.
$3,500.
I mean, you heard what Rebecca said, it can go up to $7,500.
And boom! That's the episode. We got a Civil War parade drum, a Prohibition corkscrew roasting its own enemy, a skateboard built to break bones, and a baseball book that knocked it out of the park. Only in this shop can you bury Prohibition and resurrect baseball in the same day.
Fair to me always, I'll do it.
Sweet.
With $4,000, I'm gonna head back home, relax for a little bit, but it won't be too long before I'm out and about looking for stuff.
A surfboard strolls into the shop, but not just any surfboard. This thing once belonged to the Beach Boys. That's right, the guys who made California cool long before avocado toast. The seller proudly announces it's the board seen on album covers like Surfin' Safari and Surfer Girl. Rick looks impressed, and honestly, so am I. This isn't just beach gear, it's rock and roll history riding a wave straight into the pawn shop.
Cowabunga, dude. That's that is a long board.
Yeah, it is.
It's an old one, too.
Yeah, it is.
The seller lays out the backstory. Dennis Wilson, the drummer and only real surfer in the band, owned this exact board. Eventually, it passed to a friend, then his dad, and finally to him. Oh, and by the way, it was insured for $200,000 at the Grammy Museum. He's asking $100,000. That's not just sticker shock, that's beachfront property prices.
This is really cool. I mean, it's incredibly iconic. The Beach Boys are, they were nicknamed America's band.
Rick calls in Warwick, his rock memorabilia expert. Warwick confirms the surfboard's authenticity. It's Dennis's board, the same one from the covers. But here's the problem, it isn't signed. Collectors love autographs, and without them, this thing doesn't quite surf into the $1 million club. Still, Warwick says it's iconic and could fetch $70,000 to $100,000 with the right buyer.
I'm quite familiar with the board. It's a very famous, iconic piece. We understand this was Dennis Wilson's board, Dennis the drummer of the Brothers.
Negotiations get sandy fast. Rick opens at $65,000. The seller fires back with $75,000. Neither moves an inch. The board may have history, but it doesn't have a new home. The seller decides to take it elsewhere, convinced someone out there will cough up 6 figures. Cue sad surf music.
I'm asking $100,000. There's only one like it.
This is my problem with the Beach Boys. They're amazing and everything else, but they're not as iconic as the Beatles, who will be worth money forever.
Next comes literature, or maybe disappointment. A seller shows off an 1874 Atlantic Monthly magazine featuring Mark Twain's A True Story. It's the first Twain story in that publication, and he wants $2,500. Rick admits Twain is iconic, but it's still a magazine, not a book. Already I smell trouble brewing like weak coffee.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. I guess this is the Atlantic Monthly.
Yes.
Rick flips through the pages, spotting Twain's name on page 591. Very cool moment, but Rick's unsure. Magazines usually aren't worth much. He decides to call Rebecca in for backup. Honestly, whenever Rebecca's summoned, you know reality's about to slap someone harder than Twain's one-liners.
Story published in the Atlantic Monthly, but also one of the first published works by him. It's actually a monologue from a real slave.
Rebecca arrives and gives the verdict. Historically significant, sure, but magazines don't command book-level respect in the collectible world. She values it under $100. Talk about deflation. Going from $2,500 to less than $100 is like discovering your rare Pokemon card is just a cereal box insert.
In 1874, Twain was already very successful, very popular. He published a book about traveling as a sort of bumpkin American through Europe.
Rick politely passes. The seller leaves looking crushed, probably wishing Twain had scribbled a signature or drawn Tom Sawyer in the margins. Honestly, still cool history, but in pawn terms, worth less than a thrift store paperback. The irony is, Twain himself probably would have turned this into a comedy routine.
It's true that there's a certain cachet that a book has. Certainly that applies to Mark Twain. What he's known for today, his literary reputation, are based on books. An individual volume like this will place under $100.
Shifting gears, we get a taste of Prohibition. A seller brings in his granddad's moonshine hydrometer, a device for measuring alcohol content. Corey perks up, explaining proof, double the percentage of alcohol. The seller cracks a joke about Corey testing it with his tongue, and honestly, I wouldn't put it past him.
I have this device that my grandfather used when he made moonshine during Prohibition.
Nice.
The hydrometer.
Corey explains these were useful during Prohibition when bathtub gin could literally make you go blind. The seller wants $100, but Corey isn't buying it. Literally, he offers $20. The seller nudges him to $25, and Corey agrees. Seller struts out bragging he suckered Corey. All that over $5. That's a new Pawn Stars record for petty victory.
Because it was the proof of how much alcohol he had.
I see.
Proof is double the percent, so 200 proof would be 100% alcohol.
Then comes the art bombshell. A seller walks in with a Peter Max painting of the Statue of Liberty. If you've ever seen neon psychedelic colors slapped on canvas, that's Max. The seller's asking $35,000, claiming it's the real deal with paperwork to back it up. Rick's intrigued because Max's works can hit 6 figures.
I'm just assuming it's a Peter Max.
That it is.
Pretty interesting. Peter Max has got a really weird storied life.
Rick calls in Brett, the art expert. Brett confirms it's authentic, a true one-of-a-kind Peter Max original, not a print with paint dabbed on. But here's the catch. Max produced hundreds of these Liberty variations. In a gallery, it might fetch $50,000, but online sales show them going for as little as $10,000. Brett lands the value around $25,000.
The Peter Max.
Peter Max. He's one of those few artists that, when you see him, you know it's a Peter Max. This is a nice work. He was also very much into American jazz.
Time to haggle. Rick starts at $10,000. The seller asks for $35,000, then shoots for $15,000. Rick bumps his offer to $12,000 cash. After some tense silence, the seller agrees. Boom! Rick scores a Liberty painting at nearly a third of the ask. Seller walks out with money for his business, Rick gets an iconic piece cheap, and Lady Liberty stays colorful.
I'll give you 10 grand.
He said it's worth 25. Can you do 15?
I'll go 12 grand.
And that's the episode. A Beach Boys surfboard that wiped out at negotiation, a Mark Twain magazine that fell flatter than a bad book report, a hydrometer that swindled Corey out of $5, and a Peter Max painting that Rick snagged on the cheap. Rock and roll, literature, moonshine science, and psychedelic art, all in a day's work at the Gold and Silver.
They were around before Tupac. Tupac named a song after them.
Tupac would never do that.
Guys, the Beach Boys were big.
It was mindless music for the masses.